Well, here to talk about it is a senator who has said he is going to vote against that deal. It is our own senator from here in the great state of Florida, United States Senator Marco Rubio. Good morning to you, Senator.
Good morning, Jimmy. By the way, the irony listening to the weather report is I'm here in D.C. and the radio is begging for warmer air, and we're down there begging for colder air.
Yeah.
So
well, it's going to be
ever happy, right?
In the mid-'80s. You're right about that. The grass is always greener someplace else. Senator, why have you decided to vote against this deal?
Let me describe this budget, okay, so people understand it. We have a government that's about $17 trillion in debt, which had to borrow an additional $680 billion this year, okay, just to pay for the operation of government. This budget actually increases that 680 by $63 billion more over the next 2 years. And all of it they promised to pay for in future spending cuts, which of course never happen, as evidenced right now, because we're supposed to be living under the Budget Control Act that was passed in 2011, which limited spending over the next 10 years or so, and now we're breaking it. 2 years into it, we're breaking it. So what does that tell you? So that's the problem with the budget. I would have supported. We probably, because we have to compromise with Democrats, we probably would have had to have agreed on something shorter than a 2-year budget, but I think we could have held the line on those cuts, and that would be my alternative. And unfortunately, that's not the direction the Senate is headed today. Meantime, this budget's going to have some devastating reductions to military retirees, which is becoming a hot issue across the country.
Yeah, it is. Well, let me ask, do you think if you're going to vote no, and if this would get shut down, to Senator McCain's point, would you have been able to negotiate something with Democrats to be able to forge something that would prevent the shutdown?
Well, actually, Jimmy, what's important to understand is usually in a normal legislative process, you bring a bill up, a law for a vote, and then individual members can file amendments, changes to it. If they would allow us to file amendments to make changes perhaps to the spending level or changes to the retiree benefits, then I think we could get to something that more people could vote for. The problem is that Harry Reid is not allowing any amendments. He's basically saying you are not allowed to change this. You have to vote it the way it is, up or down. And that's not the way this process is supposed to work. I mean, it's turned into a one-man show here, and it's terrible for the country because my vote, I represent the people of Florida who have just the same right to be heard and represented as the people of Nevada that he represents.
Right.
And yet somehow he's the only one that gets an opinion on this. So it's a terrible approach, and that's the reason why you're not going to get more cooperation, because no one's allowed to make any changes to it.
Yeah, it's been a real issue. The American people are starting to realize a lot of that, Senator, too. We're tired of it. We just are across the board. Hey, you talked to me about Obamacare for a second, and there was a front page article in the Herald yesterday, which I'm sure you're aware of, which talked about you accepting the subsidy for health care as provided by the government, your employer. Why did you decide to take that subsidy?
Well, first of all, it's not. It's an employer contribution that was available before Obamacare and is available to every member of the federal workforce and continues to be. It has nothing to do with Obamacare. It didn't come from Obamacare. It comes from the budget of the Senate. Right. And now, if they want to pass a law that says that we will take that away and use that money to pay down the debt, I'd support it. But they won't let a law like that be voted on. What has changed, Jimmy, and what's more important, because this has changed, is now members of Congress have to get their insurance from the same Obamacare exchange that they're asking everyone else to get their insurance from. And that's going to be good, and I'll tell you why. Because members are experiencing the same thing real people are experiencing.
Right.
They're losing doctors, their premiums are higher, their deductibles are higher. They're experiencing the exact same problems that people are experiencing on those exchanges, and I think that perhaps that may change some people's minds around here about how good an idea that law is. So I think it's right that members of Congress have to live under the same laws they make other people live under.
I agree with you, and there's some other laws that need to be changed that require Congress, all of Congress, to live under those laws too. We talk about that on the air all the time, whether it's insider trading or other elements. I just wish Congress would just live by the same rules that we do here with the little folks,
Well, the good news for my purposes, I don't really have very much stock. I mean, I have a 401k.
Right.
I'm sure they own stock, but I don't know anything about what they do with it. But I agree. We've passed laws that have made that even stricter. The reality is that when you serve in Congress, you come across information about market trends that maybe give you an advantage. So I do think it's wise and that's why we did pass a package a year ago that actually restricted even further the trading members can do and so forth.
Right. Talk to me about the heart of the GOP, if we can, for just a second. There was the battle over this budget deal where John Boehner stood up and really chastised those on the right for their conservative views in going out against this particular bill, and in fact, in some sense, pointed you out in a roundabout way in that some believe that you came out against it before you had a chance to read it.
Well, that's not accurate. First of all, the important details of this budget were not only leaked, but well understood within this building before it was revealed. And the evidence of it is that even after it's been revealed, only 12 Republicans yesterday even voted to move forward on it, and out of 45 Republicans in the Senate. So it gives you an indication of the lack of support that exists here for elements of it. I do appreciate very much the situation that Speaker Boehner is in and Chairman Ryan are in. They've got to negotiate with Democrats, and that's, from my view, not an easy thing because they have different sets of priorities. I just think that perhaps they should have agreed to something less long-term. Unfortunately, I wish it was a long-term solution, but at a minimum held the line on spending, because my view of it is, if the Republican Party isn't the party that's going to hold the line on government growth and runaway spending, then what are we? How are we different from the Democrats, is my view. And so I think it's important, and that's what the country wants. I mean, people are starting to realize that this is a government that's spending, borrowing over $600 billion a year to fund its normal operations. We can't continue to do this. We're going to ruin this country. We're going to stick our children with a terrible bill, and we're going to lose the American dream.
Right. Senator, the Dolphins' playoff run.
Oh, man. Wasn't that great? I mean, I sent Jeff Ireland a text yesterday thanking him and the staff over there for giving me a chance to share meaningful December games with my boys for the first time. They're only 8-6, so I think the last time we had games that mattered was like in 2008, so it's been 5 years.
Yeah, that's the last time
it must be fun for you guys to cover something that matters.
Are you kidding?
A Ryder truck game.
To have the possibility of playoff. I've called one playoff game in the 9 years I've done the play-by-play. One.
Yeah, the Ravens game, right?
That's right. We got blown out in that one. He knows more about football than anybody I know.
No.
Yes, you do. I'm telling you.
I wish I did.
Yes, you do, Senator. We've talked about football a lot. Hey, take care of yourself. I hope your family have a great Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you soon.
Jimmy. Thank you for having me on. Go Dolphins.
Thanks, Senator. Take care.